I just want to know which one of you freaky Twitter ban list horse puking sickos ended up going in and buying 615 cucumber horses. Did you read the card from the memes and go, wait, that's pretty good? Or do you have some diabolical plan to chew up a bunch of these, then glue them together and put a horse head on yourself and build a puking collage of a horse puking Yu-Gi-Oh horses for the next ban list? 615 of these. Really? What are you doing? That being said, what's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. I wanted to shout out real quick, Steven Delara over here has a site decked out, and if you're not familiar with him, he's a Yu-Gi-Oh champion as well as somebody that takes down giant Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Now, I was buying some giant cards from him and we were talking shop, and he sent me some of these products. There's no discount code or anything like that for the website, but he did send me the product to review, and I really like the sleeves. However, I would be immediately double sleeving them. They are meant for design purposes, but he has for his different ones Soldier of Legend, aka Blackluster Soldier, Dark Sorceress, aka Witch of the Black Forest, and Libro della Luna, aka Book of the Moon. And I think all these holographic sleeves look amazing. They're some of the best out there. I don't really love the field centers, if I'm honest, but I'm not a matte finish fan, whereas other people's are. So many people ask me, is this matte finish, is that matte finish? And I'm like, no, I want it glossed up. So this is for a different consumer than me, but it is priced accordingly, where most main brands are doing 25 to 30 for their field centers. He's doing 15. And then for the stinky duelist or the extracurricular activity duelist, air freshener for the car with BLS on it's pretty cool. And the art prints I really did enjoy, and the art is worth getting a print of. So again, this is over on deckedoutacc.com, and I'll post that link for you below. And he is a storied duelist, not only in main, but also in speed duels. Rip that format. Let's get to the cards. Besides Cucumber Horse, though, we have the 25th anniversary tins debuting, and I warned you all, Facebook vendors were already selling the sealed for as low as $170, and here we go on to TCG Player, where duelists are taking less after fees here and then shipping to your front door, etc. I feel like we're going to see this go down somewhat fast, but a lot of these cards are getting grabbed, so it will make an interesting dynamic of who dares go into the 400 card set and dives for the cards, rather than just to have fun. SP Little Knight is getting bought a lot, and is sitting at 43 still. Triple Tactics Thrust is getting bought in playsets and is going up at the current moment. I believe that's even up versus pre-sales. Blue Eyes White Dragons about the early pre-sales of 20, where it was trying to sell at 30 on TCG Player, but the pre-sale sites had it at 20. And then Dark Magician Girl is cannibalizing herself to where the 20th is under the Prismatic Secret Rare, and I kept hinting that I thought this might happen, but I thought it would be super long term, not day one. That Prismatic Secret Rares, they're harder to get than the 20th. They're harder to get. But I thought this would take a good amount of time. And here we are, day one, with the altar art in the driving seat versus the 25th anniversary quarter century secret rare. Bonfire is towards the top of the set, which makes sense. People want a bunch of it. The ban list didn't hit hard enough. Transaction Rollback is doing pretty good despite being overprinted in the EU. This is the American market. Diabellstar is above what I thought, with it already being named for Bonanza. I do think we'll see people start to talk about that a lot more later, and I think that Wanted, if it doesn't get reprinted, will immediately slurp that value, as people are going to have a ton more Diabellstars and not enough of Seeker of Sinful Spoils, and this would probably get looked up a ton more. So you might want to get that sooner than later, but you're still risking versus Bonanza and them not doing a ton of double down reprints with those extra rarities, but I could see them trying to tie the products together like that to get people to reach backwards. We have Chaos Angel here towards the top as well, with Trident Dragion. See, this is what I thought Trident would pre-sell at 12, and then it would drop towards 8, and then flirt with 10 if it started to go back up in demand. Typhon at 10. I saw so many people excited for this pull, and I started to click, yeah, this one's going to be better than 8 most likely, and it's trying to hang in there right now. Quim is up there. We have Bestial Dispater, but again, these Prismatic Secret Rares, they are harder to pull than the quarter century secret rares, and they're the true chases of the 10 overall, unless you're a classic boomer, and that also fits my bill, along with the alter art reprints, which do make the front page here, but I don't think those will have as much staying power as they want to, as we see a lot of stuff like this get a bit of hype at first and then trail off usually. Speaking of hype, Gamer's Choice has the Misprints up. Code What's Good 5 for 5% off, and to support the channel directly will be usable over here. However, I always put y'all first, and I think some of these are a good chunk overpriced versus what they're going for in the Misprint group. In fact, I think this is also a really good point. Galzo pointed out, paying 4x for a misprint that looks like the original print is the most hilarious S I've ever seen. I do think that it is actually a detriment to some of these misprints if they look exactly like their OG printing. So what the misprint is instead of prismatic secret rare where it's horizontal vertical, we have diagonal OG looking secrets, and a lot of people complimenting how those look. I think the Dark Magician Girl should be around 100 with the code 95. I think that would be decent. Early sales were 150 though, so I get why James is doing this over at Gamer's Choice, and I also gotta say that mass misprints age very well, so I guess maybe he's not in a rush to get rid of these in specific. What I mean by that is when we look at the reverse secret rares alone, those are mass misprinted, and yes, they are old, but of cards that are less desirable than Dark Magician Girl, for example, those are big money. I do think 5 of these will settle at the top, most likely DMG and some of the alter arts, and the ones that look like their original selves will only attract the hardcore collectors in either the misprint community or people specific to those cards like branded collectors that need every single version of a card. So when it comes down to it, I think stuff like the Red Eyes Black Dragon could be up there, Dark Magician Girl could be up there, but I think this should be more towards 50. Personally, I think the Dark Magician Girl more towards 100. I would personally be avoiding things that were already secret rare on debut, like Triple Tactic Thrust and SP Little Knight, and I would be looking a lot more at the second page here. The alter arts are sought after in the groups, but Regeki I've seen sell around 40 and ask for 40 a good amount. One second. We always do it live. And then limiter removal, I think, should be around 20, max 25 for its misprint, and tuning probably around that 25 mark also. Then the Harpies, this is fair-ish. I bid 40 and got outbid towards 50 on one of these already, so I see why it would be pushed up towards 50. It's probably one of the most demanded cards, having a waifu and a meta card combined into it. And then going through, I did see a Neo sell for 50, and I think it's one of the most asked for in the misprints. The Bonfire, people do like that as well, but I feel like 50 is a bit much, but people will want playsets of that, so it will disappear. For how mass the misprint is, I saw someone open 5,000 cases to get about 100 of this misprint, while others are pulling it like crazy. So there's not really telling how many sheets are affected. But the cards in specific I like the most are ones like Tearlament Kashtira here, where Kashtira players may seek it out, also has a bit of a waifu, or cards that could be used over time like Time Tearing Morganite, or specifically Mine Castlin, where there's no alternative besides the Prismatic Secret Rare currently, and the Secret Rare foiling looks very good on her. Ohime, I think, is fair. This actually came up in discussion in the Discord, where someone's like, I bought a name shifted one with the secret foiling, because there is double misprints where the name is shifted and then it's the secret foiling. They said they bought it for 30. I was like, that's kind of just humble bragging, because as a misprint collector with a double misprint, I would have auto slammed down 30 on that one, and I saw several of those sell for more. So like, I feel like 30 is fairish on top end of an archetype where it is a rarity upgrade, and this will be the only misprint of it. Like the Snake Eyes, I think 30 is relatively fair here too, but you do have to watch out for what will settle towards the top of the set, and that's why I think DMG is probably up here, right? And I think it could age better than that. I think it could be 200, 300 down the road, but I'm not a financial advisor. I don't know the future of card prices. All we can do is take the comparables, such as reverse foil, such as the misprinted, the Chaos Neoses. Back in the day, those were 20 to 30. I have 6 sitting in my binder I paid 20 to 15 a piece for while I vended. So things that aren't necessarily as appreciated back in the day get noticed more now. And when it's a mass misprint, I feel like the greedier vendors kind of get in there and might end up hyping them up. And again, for me, most of this front page ain't it, except maybe the Harpies, and the second page is where I would be looking a lot more and on for specific cards that I think could be worth, especially if people go out of their way to like complete this set as misprint collectors. That would be interesting as well, but I think they'd be better off kind of waiting and picking up throughout these next 3 months. And again, I do think Galzo's point stands that if it was in secret already, that the misprint, then you're just pointing towards the set code, which does do it for some people, but I think eliminates it from being a super long-term top 5 for the set. Also, speaking of megatons, people are reaching back to the older 10s to fulfill their collections. This is what I always say when something else comes out. People go and look back. Dark Magician Girl from the 2022 10s and Red Eyes are getting bought out. Look at this spike on the graph, and they're listed around $12 still, but they were cheaper before, just continuously rising right now. Red Eyes Black Dragon is also up and rising. I think this was down to $3 at one point, and now it's about $9. Keep in mind, these were the only true short prints of the 2022 10s. The other ones were half prints. I love, honestly, stuff like this being the target of short prints, as long as you leave the meta stuff alone, and that's where the 2022 10s failed, then they half printed a bunch of the meta stuff. The Blue Eyes White Dragon is not moving all that much, surprisingly, as those other two moved, though. The Bandai reference isn't as loved, it seems, versus this looks really good, and this looks like a draw to the cartoon. We have Exciton Knight moving for hat format. This is very interesting to me because I think this did get errated to some degree in battles. Let me know down below if it did. Then it took a while to still get unbanned. Then you have Ultimate Rare Big Eye for hat as well. I believe that's for the Sylvan players, if I'm not mistaken. Let me know if I'm wrong down below. But this has also gone back up, not just for Cash Tier or this format, but it does mix in a hair. And then Digusto Phoenix also going. I have not said this name in ages. This would get teched back into certain decks that could play Cat Shark and OTK with it, but enough of the boomer rants. This DT has gone back towards $29 lowest, and you can see it's sold out through the $20 mark. So people are taking hat format very seriously. I'm seeing a ton of people buy into it. A lot of people play it, and it does kind of make sense that each era might end up with a past format, right? Like, you have now an Xyz era, you have a Synchro era, and you have an OG era with GOAT. So having the Xyz enter here, I think, is kind of the difference in flavor for people where they end up settling on this. Thanks for watching today's Market Watch. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the conversations. I always put the audience first and give my honest opinions. And with that, that's why I would tell you not to buy certain things here unless they do lower their prices on certain aspects of these misprints. But I do think there's deals to be had versus the, oh, these are all too high. I think there's some things worth going in and grabbing personally, but misprints are a niche market. You have to remember it takes either a specific misprint collector or somebody interested in an archetype that looks over and goes, you know what? I like that. And Dark Magician Girl is a top 3 collectible card in the game in terms of Dark Magician Girl, Blue Eyes, and then what follows up, Dark Magician himself. DMG sells sets better than DM, and there's proof in the pudding of that. Thanks for watching again, everybody.